Welcome to the Blind Apex Podcast, where amateur club racers tune in to get faster.
I'm your host, Con John Turk, and on this episode of the Blind Apex Podcast, well, I'm going to give you an update, sort of. Maybe not me. And an overview of my plans for the winter, my plans for 2024, and how I got to those plans. Joining me, one of two people I trust to work on my car, the bearded wonder himself, Jason Lineberg. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So before we get too deep into all this other stuff, if you like the podcast, share, download, review, rate, all that stuff. But now that we got that stupid business out of the way, Jason, let's get some of your background in your motorsports career.
Well, I don't exactly have a motorsports background per se, but I kind of started out as a fan of racing in general. Over time, I decided I wanted to make a career out of working on cars. So I went to NASCAR Technical Institute to learn how to work on cars. And since then, I've been working as a Toyota mechanic. And in the meantime, I've helped, obviously, I've helped you out. And before that, I helped out some dirt track racing friends. And so I have a little bit of background in everything, but not a whole lot either.
Yeah. I mean, I met you through mutual friends, your sister, Madison Motorsports, all that stuff.
Right.
You had gone to NASCAR Technical School down in North Carolina. You were up here here near Summit Point in the Winchester area. By the way, we're recording live for the first time in the Clearbrook Speed Shed. That's the name on Instagram, right?
Yep.
So we're live. Well, we're not live because it's recorded, but we're here recording face to face in the shed where he's helped me do many things to the car, mostly suspension related. And I'm sure we'll get into that because those are some of the things I need to do this year. So, for this off season. Did you have any bouts driving a circle track car?
Yeah, I did. Basically, a lot of circle tracks have U-car class. You can afford racing, and you take a crap can, put a cage in it, and they're frankly not very safe. But I raced one of those several times before I decided maybe this wasn't the best idea.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have a podcast. Maybe I'll have you join me. I had a prior guest. He's really big on circle track racing, and I want to get into how those skills that you learn in circle track can help you in road racing. So that'll be interesting, I think.
Yeah.
But you're my guest, but not really my guest. I'm going to hand you the keys to the podcast car because I know people have listened. I don't know for how long, but the trailer was just me. It gets really boring when it's just me. And I thought it would be good to have Jason come, or I'd go to Jason's in this case.
Yep.
And talk this out a little bit, mostly because I'm going to need his help this winter. And he can ask questions and know what he's in what's in his future. So.
Yep. This is just as informative for me as it will be to all of the listeners.
I don't know how informative it will be, but we'll see. So,
all right. So I guess starting out, why don't you give a short background? I know probably most people have heard it, but give a real quick recap of crib to Civic.
Oh, well, which Civic is the question, but crib to Civic. I grew up in a household that was pretty car friendly. My mom liked cars. My stepdad liked cars. My real dad liked cars. Like, my family in general was car centric. Datsuns and Ford Falcons, and my grandfather raced a Biscayne, a Chevy Biscayne. He was a drag racer. And then I turned 16, got into a lot of trouble behind the wheel of a car. My parents, they sacrificed a lot to get me to do autocross, time, speed, distance, rally, stuff like that. I nuked an alternator on my Scirocco at the time, and my stepdad drove up. I mean, he's my dad. He drove up to Frederick, Maryland, where we were doing this time, speed, distance rally, and threw me the keys to his Honda Accord and said, I'll be here all day figuring out what's wrong with your car. Try not to bring it home busted. And well, that didn't happen, but
Of course not.
No. We lost a cylinder. It was just a spark plug, but I wasn't going to stop. There's no time to stop in a time, speed, distance. You just finish. And so a spark plug wire popped off while we were running around the Frederick, Maryland area in the 90s. Then I went to James Madison University. I barely helped. I mean, I'm a founding member of Madison Motorsports, and we did a lot of dumb things that only occurred because people didn't have cell phones with cameras when we were younger. And that got us into the NASA family. We were corner workers and tech shed workers and grid workers. Madison Motorsports was everywhere early on when NASA Mid-Atlantic kicked off. And I sort of just started hanging out with the Honda Challenge crew off and on. I left German cars and got a Honda after college because it was more reliable. And then I saw them driving their cars to the racetrack, racing them, not doing HPD, racing their race car, and then driving their race cars home. And I was like, these are a rowdy group of guys that I would like to hang out with. And that dream persisted for 17-ish years. And in 2019, I became a rookie. And as well, we fought the first Civic. It was a 2000 Civic Si. We fought that car for a year and a half, 2 years or so. And
lots of frustration.
Yeah. It ended up at GT Piece. Darren told me there was a frame rail buckling and wandering. And then I talked to Marcus, and Marcus was like, it's not worth fixing. It can be fixed. It's not worth it. That was at the event. And then when it went to GT Piece after the event, I got the bad news. And, but on my way home from that event, my wife, she was like, what are we going to do? And I was like, I'm not sure yet. She's like, well, you're not going to stop racing. So, I got the green light from the wife, and we immediately started planning. And that's a big thing in my life. I plan a lot, a spreadsheet, all sorts of stuff. The irony is I forgot my spreadsheet for this podcast at home. So I'm doing a little more off the cuff than I normally do. Normally I have lots of questions and things are planned out, and I have lots of ideas, and hopefully I don't forget some things that we're going to talk about today. But yeah, I started racing in 2019, and I've sort of been addicted ever since. I mean, I was addicted. They call it the go fast crack pipe for a reason. So I got a little taste, didn't have enough money to keep going, came back after I got married many years later, and my wife was like, you should go do this. We're not hurting for money. Go race. And so I did. And now I'm here.
Yeah. It's good. Good wife.
Yeah. I can't ask for a better one. So
no.
She doesn't listen.
Nope.
So it's okay.
I love Sylvia.
Yeah.
Very supportive. It's awesome. Okay. Well, so the big thing today we're going to talk about is your plans for the off season.
Right.
and kind of where this is going to lead you going into 2024. I think everybody knows that this is one of the most important parts of the year. I don't know that everybody would think that, but I think it does set you up going into the season with at least somewhat of a plan.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure people take it as seriously as they need to.
Yeah.
I mean, officially, I started planning 2024 season before the Nationals event in September this year.
Right.
I knew what my schedule was because my 2023 plan was regimented enough.
Yeah.
And it was time. Like I said in the Nationals recap with Patrick, it lit a fire under me, going there and seeing everybody and seeing the work they were putting in. The work they're putting in on the day of is my weak point. It's actually one of the goals for next year is to really refine that day of work.
Right.
This is my wheelhouse. The logistics, the planning, not necessarily, I wouldn't call it a strategy, but giving myself the opportunities, planning so meticulously to know what my budget's going to be, that type of thing.
Well, let's back up. So what were your original plans for 2023?
So my original plans for 2023 were to go to Nationals and it was a big if we could get the car to turn.
Right.
So 2023 starts. I learned a valuable lesson about tires in the car. It burns tires at a much faster rate, and it burns them very quickly the harder you push the car. It's a McPherson struck car. Everybody needs to understand their burn rate on their tires. What I really learned is the tires I wanted to run, I'm stuck with a Toyo, but the size I wanted to run only comes into the United States twice a year.
Ooh.
And it happened to come into the United States after the April event. So I had a March event and an April event that I had to nurse a stack of old 235s that I was running.
Right.
And I wanted to try this staggered 245, 225 setup. But I just couldn't get my hands on tires. So, and there wasn't a fresh shipment of 225s either.
Right.
So in May, I could get my hands on 2019 225s. And I could get fresh 245s. And I just decided to just burn down what I had.
Yeah.
And change it a little bit. But the real goal was to get the car to turn. And if I could get the car to turn like I want, I don't care. It's sad. I don't actually care what the data tells me.
Right.
The car feels terrible.
Yeah.
So I want it to feel right. And then that's when I feel I can really start working on it.
Right.
So initially, first event, I think I had a leaky axle seal, which we couldn't find.
That sounds familiar.
So I raced Saturday, didn't race Sunday. Then we went to Summit, and Summit, I think you had to come over and put an axle seal in because I guess I buried them too deep into the transmission or something. Yeah, so I went to Summit and I raced at Summit. I backed up my data. So what I plan to do is run VIR, run Summit Point, ensure the data that I'm collecting is corroborating,
Right.
data on the car and the feelings that I have. Maybe it feels good at VIR versus not at Summit or vice versa. I need to figure that out. If it feels crappy at both spots, then we have a bigger problem. And that's what it did.
Right.
Took it to GTPs for an alignment after that, just to check on things. Everything was still in spec. I had a interview with Nick Amato from the Honda Performance or the Heart team, Honda America race team.
Yeah.
And on the side, they did one lap of America. So I was interviewing him about one lap, but he told me on the side that they ran a lot of toe in on the car. So before the next event, even after a fresh alignment, I went into the garage and bumped as much as I could put in, toe in on the rear of the car. It doesn't like shoestring alignments. You can only get that cam set up
right
in the back to clock so far. It sort of felt better, but it was still really pushy.
Yeah.
And so it actually started to induce some high speed push in the car. Looking at the data, it just showed that I was going faster in the high speed stuff, trying to make it be free, and it still wasn't breaking free, and I was inducing push. My lap times were going down, but
yeah,
only because of those sections. So, yeah, I knew by the time I corroborated the toe in Hyperfest and in Hyperfest, I had an issue with the vehicle speed sensor. And then the next summit point, I knew at that point I wasn't going to nationals. So I had bagged the season. I bagged the season and decided to rearrange the back half of the schedule. The car's not done. We're recording on Halloween. I'm going to the November 11th fall finale because I want to test. I want every opportunity to test.
Right. We did that last year too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I had a brake failure. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a good time to find it when you're not racing against somebody, even if you did almost take out a GT350 or whatever it was.
There was a lot of expensive stuff in front of me.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So in 2023, I bagged the season early. I knew at Nationals that I only had one event left for the year. And, yeah, so I could begin planning early. And the plan is still 2024, get the car to turn the way I want it to.
Right.
So, and there's a lot more to it, you know. I went at it with basically doing one extra test day and just sticking with NASA weekends, race weekends. That's not enough.
No, it's not.
I mean,
it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get a lot of track time, and if you're trying to make any changes, you really hard to do.
Right. So, Darren said, basically, if you can make it turn at Summit Point, luckily it's my home close track. If you can make it turn at Summit Point, you can make it turn basically everywhere, and you know, minor tweaks, but get it turning. So the goal in 2024 is to not only do every NASA race weekend that is not a crossover event, but also do at least one practice day a month.
Right.
At Summit Point. So, but that triggers that plan. It's very aggressive. Okay. Car's got to run. It's done pretty decent running. Okay. Knock on wood. It doesn't have major catastrophes. It has some nitpicky things. These are all lessons I'm learning with what basically is a new car still. I'm going to claim it's a new car till I figure this out. But, you know, order axle seals, have another vehicle speed sensor. Yeah. But she's not the old car. The old car was killing axles and doing weird things, and it's not that car. So we're going to put gas in it. But logistically, I'm going from requiring about 9 front tires a year.
Yeah.
9 pair.
Yeah.
Of front tires a year to 18. So that's a lot.
That is a lot.
So what I've done is I'm starting to look at the 200 treadwear tires. I need something comparable, not the Cheater 200 treadwears, because Toyos do not have cheater grip. Something kind of comparable that wears a little more like stone and not like the 17-inch Toyos wear.
Right.
So, and because there's a logistics issue getting those front tires at least, I'll be running the Kumo V730s.
Okay.
At least for the interim on practice days, just to see if we can get. Well, first off, we legitimately have a set of 245, 225s. So we're going to test the stagger.
Yep.
That required me to buy a bunch of wheels. I bought more wheels. I brought you tires and wheels today, and I still have more at the house,
Wow.
So I'm stacked up as deep as I can get. I'm going to wrap up my tires and leave them in the dining room. My wife loves me, and she said it was okay because they're expensive. So why let them sit outside and be cold, But that's just part of the logistics, right?
Right.
So now I have two sets of front tires to race on. In theory, that'll get me past the first shipment.
Right.
And then I need to start ordering more.
So I guess let's continue on with kind of the logistics of everything, because that's going to play into your plans for the off season. So everybody kind of procrastinates when it comes to the off season.
Oh yeah, me too.
And I feel like it's everybody I've ever worked with. It doesn't matter if it was dirt racing or anybody with just a track car, a race car, with NASA or anyone else. Everybody waits till the last minute. So how do you keep yourself from doing that and making sure that whatever parts you need, you can get before you need them?
Yeah. So you have to evaluate your consumables. And what I've done is I understand, one, I picked a brake pad that doesn't wear quickly and it doesn't eat rotors.
Right.
Okay. So I'm on a year on these ST43 pads and the rings on my DBA, DWA, whatever, the Australian rotor company.
Right.
Okay. So the plan is, because I know Raybestos can take a while, they batch make pads, that I will order pads. They're already on order.
Right.
And then I will buy rings. Now, what I do, I spend a lot of money. I'm not going to say I don't spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I like to do it strategically. And this is going to be recorded and released before Black Friday. If you have major purchases, go back on their social media page and see if they did consistent Black Friday sales. Because 10%, 15%, 20%, whatever it is, free shipping, that stuff adds up.
Right.
It does. And so I have delayed some purchases, knowing historically they have good deals on Black Friday.
Right.
I will ignore everyone at Thanksgiving and be ordering things off my phone. I already have them up, like in carts on my phone.
That's fair. And I guess one good advantage of going ahead and ordering stuff on Black Friday is you have months to get it if that happens to go on back order or, any delays that might happen.
Yeah. The stuff that I need, I don't need it, but I'd like to have a fresh set and pull this used, still usable set of rings and still usable set of pads off as emergency backups kind of thing. But I mean, I've gone through and said, okay, this is how much oil my car takes. I've budgeted for it. Have I ordered it all? No. there's no need. There's not a big sale that happens on transmission fluid and oil, generally speaking.
Right.
So I haven't gone that far, but I know how much I need, and I know about where my big purchases are going to be throughout next year, when the tires probably will be in.
Yeah.
When my tires run out, I know I have to spend money.
Yeah.
Right. So somewhere in that window. So I try not to put all these purchases together at one time. Right. I'm not made of money.
Yeah.
So, but I look at things. I already know next winter, not even this year, but I'm looked at next winter. I need harnesses and a seat.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how it works, you know? And you know, I run $1,000 seat, and my harnesses are a couple $100, $300 maybe.
Yeah. So you keep a pretty good eye on when all that stuff is
You
gonna
have
be
to.
due, right?
You have to, especially your safety equipment, because
That'll keep you off track.
oh yeah, you're not passing
Yeah.
annual. You're not getting your annual if you don't have your safety equipment up to
Right.
date. And there's a mad dash, right? If you call OG right now, they have lots of stuff and they're clearing inventory. What you need to do is pay attention to your local safety dealer and their social media pages, because I know OG for me is 45 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when they say, oh, truck full of OMPs can't come in next winter, I will call my boss, tell him I'm sick and I'm going to OG. Right? Like, because I want the fresh new seat. I don't want to wait, and I don't want limited supply. I don't have to then have them order it again, you know, because it's sold out already. I'm a little thick, right? So I need the big boy seat.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not the only thick guy out there, because they got to run on these seats, you know. Harnesses go so fast. I don't think they make enough, you know. So I look at everything, every detail. And this includes the trailer, you know.
Right.
I'm running on, I was forced to, because I had 2 flats last year. I'm running on 2 fresh year-old tires, but I have 2 tires that are 7 years old on the trailer.
Yeah.
And they're not worn out, and they're not dry rotted. But they have lots of miles. Those 2 tires went down to Louisiana and back.
Yeah.
You know. So it's time for some trailer tires.
I was gonna say that was something I wanted to get into was tow rig and trailer, because I have a great story for why you should keep that kind of stuff in good shape. And it was basically when I started out helping my shop foreman and his race team with a limited late model, and we raced at Hagerstown Speedway, and it's about 45 minutes away from where I live now. And he had just bought a trailer right before the season started and hadn't gone over anything on it.
New or used?
Used.
Okay.
We ended up blowing a tire on it. And then we found out that the lug nuts were on so tight, we broke a breaker bar trying to get them off. Then we couldn't jack it up with the jack. So eventually we got it up in the air, went to take the wheel off. The lug stud stripped and then fell into the spline stripped, and it fell into the brakes. So we were out in an Advance Auto parking lot, halfway there, trying to fix this thing. And the night did not improve any. But you definitely got to make sure that you can get to the track safely.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, you're the one that maintains my Tundra for me, basically. So I changed the oil, but outside of that, Jason takes care of everything for it. All my 100,000 mile maintenances that we do about 50,000-ish miles. So, and I'm due. It sort of. We were a little late last time, but
yeah.
You were looking over the truck before we went on the 2,500 mile round trip to go get this race car a couple of years ago. And you found possibly a coolant leak. Well, that's not the type of trip that you go, yeah, we'll just limp it through.
No.
So keeping the maintenance up on both of these things is can be arduous. So the big thing for me is that the trailer wiring has been hacked and patched from the times I've had to crawl under it and fix some of the wiring.
Yeah. With
speaker wire, because, I guess that was acceptable for somebody.
Wire is wire.
No, it's not. So, he's being funny, but yeah, so I have to rewire. And by I mean, I'm going to need your help because, I'm colorblind. So yeah. I don't do wiring so well. But I think that's a spring thing because we're going to have to be out on the ground under the trailer. One thing I wanted to comment is I think we have this false perception of being procrastinators. We're not blessed with the schedule in the area that we live in. So I bet the late model guys are all packed up. It's probably too cold for them.
Yeah.
But we have one more event in November.
Yeah.
And then a week or two later is Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
A month later is Christmas, New Year's. So our off season is packed full of family time.
Yeah.
Which is good. You can't ignore your wife, your children, your significant other. You can't ignore them.
No. First things first.
Yeah, first things first. But I'm fortunate that my wife is the one that tells me, maybe you should go spend a couple hours in the garage and get something done.
Yeah.
The other thing is she hounds me about my own list, and then she forces me to write it down and check it off. So I have it. I already have it. That's
perfect. So, I was just getting ready to ask how you keep yourself disciplined. And it sounds like you don't, but your wife does.
Well, yeah. She doesn't let me slack when I would want to slack. Generally speaking, especially when we were building this car, after my surgery and stuff, it was an hour here, hour there.
Yeah.
And you would be surprised how much you can get done in an hour, especially if you choose your battles correctly.
Right.
Maybe one night I do one side of the brakes, front or rear, left or right, and then the next night I do the other. Yeah. Whatever it is. Okay. But just do it. You don't need to watch Netflix or YouTube or whatever. I mean, maybe you have to watch YouTube to figure out how to do what you're going to do. But yeah. Just get out there, because I promise you, every hour that you can put in before January 1st will make the lead up to the first event of the season much, much easier.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of things that people take for granted. I know Darren always says, don't bring me your car to tune it a week before the event.
Right.
So he also, at GTP, they have a really nice alignment rack and people that know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They get booked.
Yeah.
The closer you get to the first event, the less likely you're going to get an alignment in.
Right. You want to get those essentials out of the way.
Yeah. So what that does is, if you know you're making a intake header, engine, exhaust, major changes, talk to your tuner and prioritize that.
Right.
Are you doing major suspension overhaul? You're going to need to get on the calendar early for an alignment.
Yeah.
So those types of things you have to prioritize. It's important. if you're doing both, God bless you. You better put the time in before January 1st.
Yeah. You also have to remember when you take your car in for an alignment, a good track alignment is different than a street car alignment. I'm not saying that you're going to get a bad street car alignment, but you want to be a little bit more precise, and that takes time. Depending on the car, it can take a lot more time.
Mine's not fun.
No, it's not. It's not at all.
Yeah. So some of the things that I know I need to do this off season to the car, I need to try to find 100 pounds to take out of the car. Okay. Big deal. It's sort of a big deal. There's not a lot of stuff left. As you know, it's not watertight.
No.
Specifically on the rear window.
Not yet.
So I have to pull the rear Lexan, add another couple of riv nuts, and refit it, reseal it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. That's sort of easy stuff. The 100 pounds probably won't be easy, but I got some ideas. I need to take the rear glass out to really figure out what I can do with that rear deck, because the rear deck is obnoxiously heavy with the trunk springs and stuff. Let's see. A lot of it is acquiring stuff. So right now I'm trying to be opportunistic.
Right.
Okay. I need to find more wheels. Is ungodly the amount of wheels now that I have a practice set. So I want to keep life off of the Toyos and keep those for racing.
How many wheels do you have?
16 wheels.
16 wheels.
And I think I need 20.
20.
And that's just because I'm in constant rotation of things in and out. You need a backup rear maybe, because what if you cut it or somebody drops a part, like, and you run it over or whatever. So that's way more than I've ever carried before.
Yeah.
In the old car I had one set of 4 for the RA1s, and I used 6 for the RRs.
Yeah.
That was it. 10. Now I'm doubling that.
Yeah.
So, and we're doing a lot of suspension work. I got to get this car to turn.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, my car, being a McPherson car with the rear with the divorced springs, my spring size in the back is really weird. It's a tiny little 4-inch spring.
Yeah.
So I have to buy rear sets and front sets. I can't buy a plethora like on the double A-arm Honda cars. I don't know of any other cars, so we'll just talk about those. They buy 6-inch springs all the way around.
Yeah.
And they buy, let's say, 400 pounds to 1,200 pounds. And then you buy all those and you're set.
Yeah.
Right. I don't have that ability, and the spring size specifically for the rear is tough.
So to have the same amount of tuning options, you would have to have twice as many springs as you did before. So you're looking at almost twice as many wheels, twice as many wheels and twice as many springs for this car.
Yep. And, some of the things we've talked about in the past that we never really got around to with this car or the last car is I want to measure the bump steer on the front.
Yeah.
I want to measure roll center, front and rear.
Yeah.
I believe not only do I have too much rear grip, but I don't have enough front grip. And everybody's like, find the grip in the front first.
Yeah.
And so I get that, but I need to try to mitigate. That's why I'm going to the staggered setup. I need to mitigate the rear as much as possible. Because if I can mitigate the rear, hopefully I slow down my tire consumption.
Right.
So, find more grip, have less wheel spin, we'll be all right. So, doing suspension measurements, those take time. It takes time. You got to chart it all out, get the graph paper out, get the calculator out, probably measure 2 or 3 times before you're really confident on what you just measured. Right. I'm not used to doing this stuff. I watch YouTube videos, listen to Jackie tell me what to do. And then, is my car in my garage the right place to do it? My floor is not level. I have a drain in the middle of the floor, Is it close enough? I don't know. I'm gonna have to measure it, figure it out. What do I need? Do I need to buy things? Do I need to buy the race ramp setup? Where you put all the tires on the thing and then you can measure and then, put them on the race ramp cups or whatever. I don't know. So things I need to research, potentially more things I need to buy.
Yeah.
But I'm also looking for spares. Because usually I have a problem, I buy a replacement and a backup, right? The old car, I had so many spares, it was disgusting. Well, this has been pretty good. Again, it's been a decently reliable vehicle as far as a race car goes. So what have I purchased? Axle seals and for the transmission and a speed sensor.
Right. That's not too bad.
I mean, I have a backup throttle body. I have some other items, right? But
you haven't hoarded yet.
No, I'm not hoarding yet. So I need to be opportunistic with that type of stuff because
you want to get to it before everybody else does, for one thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the K series are being consumed at a faster rate than the B series.
Yeah.
There are very few B series powered Miatas out there. There's a ton of K series powered Miatas. They're gobbling everything up. Every other car saw the light, K is the way, and they started using it. So, yeah. So a lot of decisions to be made. Now, when a lot of things to look for and decide, do I want to buy it now? Can I wait? That kind of thing. I'm hunting for deals. So that's all I do. When in doubt, my wife gets lost. I told her to put herself for sale on Facebook Marketplace. I'd find her in a minute. No big deal. So that's sort of what I'm searching for. But getting back to next year, one of the things I want to do is MSF offers a level 1 and level 2 instructor certification.
Yeah.
So it's the Motorsports Foundation accreditation for instructing. So I know that I will be expending a lot of funds. And so one of the decisions I made this year was to seek out the ability to be an instructor.
Yeah.
So my test days, I will be instructing on, and I will likely test days, test weekends, whatever, go for a change. Know that most of those organizations have a lunchtime period, and any changes I need to make, I will plan to make during lunch. If I can't do that, then it won't get changed, but I'll test it anyway and instruct and save some money that way. But, I'm going to go through the NASA system also. So I'm going to have a NASA in March, go through the NASA instructor school, and then I will go through, over the winter, I'll go through the MSF certifications.
Right.
So there's a couple, that's a big deal, a lot of homework for me. I mean, I have the podcast, I'm working on the car, so I have to have time.
Yeah.
Who needs sleep, right? We don't need sleep.
So, yeah, that was another thing. How do you keep your own, head in the game as far as trying to keep fresh with, just the driving aspect and the mental aspect of all of that?
A lot of it has to do with my track family. We keep each other motivated.
Yeah.
Okay. The Honda Challenge guys, some of them post a lot on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. It's easy to see. We have our own internal text messaging group chat that will destroy the memory on your phone. But we share, we motivate each other, we help each other. They answer questions.
Right.
They provide guidance. They're willing to help, in the way that any competitor will. I'll get you 90% of your solution.
Right.
And then let you noodle that last 10%.
Yeah. But like, do you do anything, just to help with your driving or anything, as far as, do you do any karting or sim, anything like that?
I don't have the internet for sim. And I'd love to do some karting, but to be honest, I do very little other than it's easier for me to say no to things for whatever reason in the wintertime.
Yep.
They're less social settings. So I do a lot more work on my physical fitness in the off season than I can during the season.
Yeah.
So I don't know why it works out that way. It just seems to be that way for me.
It's the time to work on yourself.
Yeah. So it's easier for me to tell people, no, I'm not eating your apple pie at Thanksgiving, and just, eat turkey and stuff like that instead.
That's fair.
But yeah, I would love to. I would love to have a sim. I would love the positives you can get in a sim are far and above, especially in the off season. Like, you want to get those competitive juices flowing, go do your sim online.
Yeah.
I can only imagine, join a karting league. Unfortunately, well, I guess the electric karts, maybe they have heated facilities now, but I remember karting in the wintertime. I was freezing and I don't get cold. So I don't know how these people did it.
Yeah.
But it gets pretty cold. But really watching your own video, watching other people's video, I do a lot of that. Yeah. And I go through all my data all over again. I save a year's worth of data, and I sit down and I go over it at the track now that I use the Garmin, but I'll go through it, and I actually need to update it because it's been recording some things that it didn't, without the update, it wouldn't show you, but it'll show you afterwards.
Yeah.
So I get more squiggly lines to look at. So, I stay motivated that way. I think everybody has a lot of rust to knock off in the March event, the first event of the year. It's typical.
Yeah.
It feels like. But by Sunday, there's no rust left.
All right.
Saturday, we get it all out of the way.
Good plan. Yeah. Usually first event of the year, the first couple sessions are entertaining to watch.
Yeah. It's not entertaining to be out there. I'll tell you that.
When it's cold, on cold tires.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And you've been warned not to go off, and they still just go flying off. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually within a couple laps. So how about rules changes? Do you have any for your class, for your car, your build?
So I have, I requested last year to have 2 ways to add camber to the McPherson cars. That was passed.
Oh,
so we've been running it, and essentially I'm not going to ask for anything else until I can get the car the way I want it to feel.
Yeah. Then
we'll worry about dialing some things in, and then I'll worry about, am I really slower than everybody else?
Yeah.
I don't think it's off pace. I think the dragon that I'm chasing is to actually make the car consistent for a longer run. The current methodology for making these cars turn put them on the razor's edge all the time. And the window for driving them is very narrow.
Right.
The window for driving them well is very narrow. And as soon as you start deviating, you start cooking the tires, and then you cannot drive it anymore. It's gone, right? So we sort of saw it at Nationals. Shanfield was fast in an 8th gen Civic. Everybody always points out he's fast, but the harder he had to push to keep up with Baker, the more he overdrove the car, the more he was crossing that line. And a couple laps in, his tires were gone.
Yeah.
He went off. And it took a yellow, like he cooled down, and then he sort of started charging back.
Yeah.
He did make a charge back, but his lap times were not what he was doing early, right? So when you're racing against cars that put down, say, let's just arbitrarily say a 210, and 40 minutes into the race, they're putting down 211s. Okay.
Yeah.
But you can do a 210 one lap, but you can't get into that 211 range. You're in a 214 for the rest of the race.
Yeah.
The consistency's not there, and it's required.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find a consistent way to make the car turn. So get the car turning so that the lap times can be consistent. If the driving window's narrow, that's just the beast, right? I'll have to be a better driver. But I need that delta.
Yeah.
When it starts to go away, not to be 3 or 4 seconds, because that's not what the other guys have.
Yeah.
And so that's the dragon I'm chasing.
Yeah. So, get it tuned and get it turning, hopefully good enough that you can manage the tires.
Yes. Because that's what they do.
Yeah.
And when they have to manage, they don't drop 3 or 4 seconds. They drop 1 second in their managing tires. It's just huge.
Yeah.
So.
All right. You got any plans just for the garage and anything in there?
Yeah. Some of the Honda Challenge guys know that came over. My garage looks like a bomb went off in there. Now it's much better than it was even last year. But part of my planning is to be organized.
Yeah.
Part of me buying spares is to mark the totes that they're in.
Yeah.
And make it easy to find. Because right now I have
not waste 3 times as much time.
Right.
Trying to figure out where your stuff's at.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. If you look around in here, nobody can see this, but I have the same issue going on.
Right. So one of my big goals for the off season is to get my garage in order.
Yeah.
Get my garage in order, get some things straightened up, get my parts organized. My tools are much better than they were in the past, but that might be because I own 5 of everything now.
Yeah.
But get things organized so when I do have 1 hour to spend in the garage, it's fruitful, right? Like we talked about earlier, you want to make sure you're moving forward. You have to make that time count. And the way my garage is set up right now, it's not.
Right.
So it's a big deal. One of the big things for me is I have to be able to move my car out so I can get everything pulled away from the walls and clean and reorganize. I got motorcycles I need to move. Well, it's easier to back the race car out, pull the motorcycles forward, and reorganize the wall full of stuff, right? Yeah. That's just how my layout is. So fortunately, I don't think I'm doing anything major in the off season that will leave it on jack stands for months.
Right.
So yeah, put it on jack stands or the race ramps or whatever I need to do the measuring and stuff. Hopefully the spring swap is fruitful in fall finale, and then maybe we start looking at springs again. But that's not that. That shouldn't strand it on jack stands like we have in the past.
Right.
Jason and I have we've gotten really good at removing engines and transmissions. All of it just all comes out. It seemed like every year. I'm trying not to do that. I think my gearing's good.
Yep. Don't
need to do anything there. So planning on leaving it rolling and in good condition. That's sort of why I don't have more tires and stuff. I need to actually leave crappy wheels and crappy tires on there so I can move it around a little bit. So.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this car is bigger than the old car, so there's even less room, and the doors are wider. So when you open them, it can be problematic.
Yeah. So another thing is when we go to wire the trailer, I want a winch. So I'm going to install a Warn winch on my trailer. And mostly that's to help me load the car easier.
Right.
Okay. She's been reliable enough not to worry about some other stuff. But essentially the splitter brackets that I have for the car clear my ramps by about a 1/2 inch on each side. They actually go in between the ramps. That's how low.
Yeah.
So when you're driving, you have no room.
Right.
Like I nose up to the second. Well, I have wood extensions because I'm poor. I haven't bought race ramp extensions yet. I get up onto the wood and then I get out of the car again and look. Well, if I had my winch, I could just be out there and bump it and just hit a button, So that's part of it.
Yeah.
Install that. I want to do solar. I want to keep the deep cycle sort of topped off. I mean, all that stuff will be Harbor Freight stuff. It's not going to be maybe some Amazon stuff. But
whatever works.
Yeah, whatever works. I live in the middle of the woods. We get home in the middle of the night. I know it's stupid, but I think I want white underglow on my trailer just to help me see.
Yeah.
It's not hot boy stuff, really. It's because I back down a really twisty driveway.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel twisty when you're pulling forward, but when you're backing a trailer down it, it's twisty.
Yeah.
So, yeah, lots of little things, and just really prepare. We're going to know more about things when we measure. We'll know more after fall finale. This winter is when I'll start planning, hey, first test day is here. This is the change we're making to test.
Yeah.
First race. Did that test work? We keeping it? We going back? We going forward? What are we doing? What direction do we make before we go to the first race? Feel it out in the first race weekend. Go next test day. What's next? So that plan will sort of evolve once we figure out some things. So
right. Yeah, I guess it's a little tough to plan out exactly what you're going to do, given that you're still tuning on the chassis itself. So it's going to kind of be playing it by ear.
Right, but that's why I'm looking to buy all the springs I can get my hands on that will fit, just to help. It may or may not be needed. I'll resell them later if I don't need them, right? But give me all the options. I'd rather start looking for them now than have to try to find them or have to buy them brand new in the spring.
Yeah.
And wait on shipping. God forbid it has to come from China or wherever. You know? So find all the stuff I can that I anticipate needing. I have all the alignment stuff I can have. It's already on the car, right? There's nothing to buy for that. So
just finding an alignment that works.
Yeah. Well, one of the off-season things is I'm developing a sheet, a pre-checklist.
Yeah.
To go out. This is this is my checklist. What are my pressures at? All that stuff. Come off the track. What are the pressures? What are the temperatures? That's the discipline I need to get into.
Yeah.
That's actually a big thing that I don't do. You and Edgar helped, right? But
yeah. It's tough because neither of us are available at every event.
right.
And you need that data from every event.
Yes, absolutely. So one of the big things for me is I need to take 100 pounds out of the car knowing I'm putting a pressure gauge and, the temperature probe setup in the car with me because I'm going to start jumping out and I have to do it on hot lane, hot pits. So lots of things going into next year to try to step up my game, to evolve my race program and evolve the data I'm collecting to make better informed decisions. Because right now we're making changes, but nothing's worked.
Yep, just taking shots in the dark.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I can cross some things off the list, right?
Yeah.
But in the end, I haven't felt it move in the right direction, and it's frustrating. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I refuse to let it beat me because, I think this chassis is very capable, so.
Yeah, I think so too. So what else do you have planned?
That's mostly it. The big thing is, getting the instructor certification, really getting myself planned out so I can be at and attend a test day, hit every race weekend, look for the items I need to affect change next year. One of the big things to take 100 pounds out of the car is being heavy just chews up tires that much faster.
Yeah.
Will it lower my lap time? Maybe, right? Am I consistent enough? Does the car feel good enough? Probably not. I don't think it's measurable right now, but every pound is going to help save some wear item, right?
Yeah.
Especially front tires.
Well, if it doesn't knock off your personal best, hopefully it'll knock off some of the fall off you have later in a run.
Right. So can I get it to stretch another couple laps, where I'm in my optimum,
right?
Because last year I definitely had times where I was outrunning guys for the first half of a race. And then I'd slowly watch them come back and I would slowly have to start saving tire.
Yeah.
And then look at the clock in the car to know. I mean, one of the big things I learned last year, which seems dumb, but when did you release? How long was your race supposed to be?
Yeah.
When is the target to be over? And it's not that the car feels so bad, but it's something I have to manage. How long do I have to manage it for? You have to know these things. You have to be aware of these things if you're in a management mode in the car. If you don't, you're hosed.
Yeah.
At VIR, it's much less important. I had a great race with Hunter at VIR at Hyperfest. But at Summit Point, yeah, my car is fast. I feel I place better at Summit Point than I do at VIR.
Yeah.
But the car feels terrible at Summit Point. I'm losing one whole second, if not slightly more, according to the data, just in the carousel versus the old car.
Yeah.
Same driver, different car. It's a second slower in the carousel. I only happen to be like 1.2 seconds off pace of the front runners. Yeah. So let me get it to turn better there. I don't need to ask for rules. I just need to refine my game. I need to work on my plan, my race program, refine it to the point that they have it. They may not show it, but they're doing the small things. The guys up front have to be.
Yeah, I think getting extra track time just in general is going to be big in that. I don't think you can have too much track time.
No, especially for me. So the other car had me missing 25% of my races, maybe.
Yeah.
Early on, I missed a couple of races this year and last year but in general, it's a much more reliable setup. But I need more time.
Yeah. I think it's really easy to overlook how few laps you get in a race weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you look at Race Hero and you're like, okay, well, you had, 17 laps here. That's only 17 opportunities to work on something.
Yep.
In each corner. And at VIR, what you have?
A lot.
Yeah, what is that? 17 turns?
17, 18, depending. Because there's 4A, 4B.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, if you're working on 1 or 2 turns on each one of those, you run out of time in each session. And you can't possibly work on all of that stuff every time. So you just don't get the reps that you need.
Well, yeah, you're not getting 17 laps every session either.
Right.
It's a 15-minute warm-up, 15-minute qualifier.
Right.
You're not getting 17 laps there. You're lucky to get 5.
Right.
Because the pace lap is long.
Yeah.
It can be up to 5 minutes just on the pace lap.
Yeah.
So you're looking at what, 10-ish?
Yeah, I was going to say,
laps?
yeah.
So maybe 40 laps a day.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal. You're right. But it's also why you need to refine your game, and your race program track side needs to be refined so you can optimize those 40 laps a day.
Yeah.
And you need to go, okay, this is where my time is today. Why is it that way? Why isn't turn 1 my weakness every event? Why is it there today? Okay. Why isn't whatever turn it is it, if you're not consistent, you need to ask yourself that. If it is consistently that turn, you need to go, okay, well, how come I can't get this right? And maybe eventually you need to look at coaching,
right?
So that's crossed my mind. Do I get a coach?
Yeah.
Not just somebody that looks at my data, but like somebody trackside that's like, hey, Edgar does a great job, but sometimes he's wants me to do things I can't get the car to do.
Yeah.
And he's like, just give me the keys, it'll do it, And I'm like, one, I'm not handing over the keys to the brand new car, but
right.
Also, I don't think it will actually do that. I don't think I'm a terrible driver. I don't think I'm not Schumacher. I'm not Verstappen.
No.
But I'm not terrible.
No, you put down consistent numbers.
Yeah, it's the only thing I have for me right now.
Well, you can build on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obnoxiously consistent.
Yeah.
I'm just obnoxiously 1.2 seconds slower than I need to be.
Yeah.
Every lap. So, yeah.
Yeah. So going into the off season and looking toward 2024, what are your top 3 goals?
Okay. My top 3 goals will be to, as a driver or in general, or
let's go. Give me 1 as a driver, 1 for the car, and 1 for anything else.
Okay. So for the car, I want to be able to increase front grip.
Okay.
So the goal is to figure out where that front grip is going away.
Yeah.
I have some ideas. We'll do some measuring. We'll figure it out. For me, part of to get that thing to turn and to find that grip is the seat time. And it's really big for me because even when I was in HPDE, my car was braking.
Yeah.
So just rip as many laps as possible. But this leads to the third thing, to develop my trackside program that I always go out with a goal, right?
Yeah.
I don't go out without a goal.
Right.
But to then make it measurable, to collect the correct kind of data outside of what my system is collecting,
Right.
and then take action.
Yeah.
So they sort of all relate together because I need the seat time to figure out the front end, but I also need the seat time to help me refine my trackside game.
Yeah. Yeah. How to maximize efficiency with your data and, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, being efficient trackside is important, but it also requires work, right? So, typically I come off the track, park the car, strip from my gear, and slam a water.
Yeah.
Wait 15 or 20 minutes and look at my data. I'm not collecting tire temps. I'm not collecting pressures. I've sort of been spitballing that.
Right.
And I need to get that refined because it needs to be consistent so I can actually figure out the front end.
Right.
Or the rear, for the whole car. If that's not consistent, then I'm having an issue where I believe the 17-inch Toyo, being much different than the 15-inch Toyo, has a smaller window.
Right.
So in a 15, you could be a couple pounds too low, still be okay.
Yeah.
The delta that you would get for that mistake isn't that bad.
Right.
But I believe it's just a different tire.
Yeah, you have a different sidewall height
Yep.
on that. And obviously that's going to affect how the tire deforms going through the turns and that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I know I'm not an expert on this by any means, but I know that's been a big thing for guys in NASCAR with their next gen car, is that there is a smaller window that they operate in with the tires that it's not as comfortable as it used to be.
Yeah.
I would have to imagine that it's got to be somewhat similar because you're experiencing the same problem. You're going to a bigger wheel and having a smaller sidewall, but also going wider.
Yep. Yeah. And, talking to Jackie, talking about the roll center issues that I could be having because we haven't measured it, right? So, you don't know. And what's optimal. I think it has a lot to do with how low I am.
Right.
People don't complain about these cars necessarily as track cars when they're mostly stock.
Yeah.
Right. Put brakes on them. The engine sings. She just sings, right? Yeah. So, part of it may be raising the car up. We won't know until we measure.
Right.
I might have to raise the car up and then rebuild a splitter to go lower,
Yeah, that's definitely something that I've wanted to do, is get your car measured and try to figure out what exactly is going on. Because then again, once you get that, you have something to compare everything to.
Yeah.
And hopefully you can make changes and get repeatability in how these changes are affecting how the car drives.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Measuring it, being consistent, getting the right type of consistency with, your tire pressures, your tire temperatures. I know we have too much front camber in the car.
Yeah.
The measurements we did take, they were over 40 degrees on average between the inside to the outside.
Right.
It's too much.
Yeah.
Not a whole bunch, but still too much, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, take some of that out. But I want to measure raise the car or whatever maybe lower the car. I don't know what I have to
Right.
do exactly. We have to measure first.
Yeah, you don't know.
Take those measurements and then revalidate next year. Part of that revalidation is getting the discipline in me to pull over after the checker and take my measurements and go in, So
I'm sure you've probably noticed that one of the first things I do anytime you come off track is ask how it felt, like immediately. Like perfect thing for me is like the second you stop,
right.
I ask, because I like to get that opinion before you go and start thinking about it. What is your reaction right as you come off?
It's been consistently, it feels terrible.
Yeah.
But it's hard to quantify. I can just describe that it's not how I like it.
Yeah.
Right. And so that makes this hard. And part of next year is to figure out how to, I don't know, explain it better.
Well, match what you're feeling with what's actually going on.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's going to be a big thing for me too next year.
Yeah. I can imagine that's pretty hard. I don't drive.
You should.
So, well, yeah, I will eventually, but, a lot of people have been doing this for a long time. Mm-hmm. And so they've already figured out a lot of these things of what works for them and what they're supposed to be feeling and how to adjust for what they are feeling. And I don't think we're at that point yet.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But,
we have a year
next
to do
year.
it.
Yeah. So I'm already looking. I know I'm not doing nationals next year. It's Miller Motorsports Park. That's too far away for me. I live the open trailer life. There's no way to secure all the gear I would have to drag and tow all the way out there. So that's sort of off the table. So this year is really important for me to focus on things because 2025 is when it would potentially return towards the East Coast. I don't know if it would be, I doubt it will be mid-Atlantic Northeast. I bet it's maybe Texas, maybe Southeast, but we'll see. Who cares at that point? Texas would be a rough tow. So I don't know if I would do it then either.
Yeah.
But if it's Road America, even they did Daytona again, that car would sing at Daytona.
Yeah.
So it may not be fast on the infield, but you let me get up on that apron. We're singing the big horsepower, 9,000 RPM red line life in 6 speeds. So
right.
We would sing that. She'd sing and sing. But yeah, so I'm already looking at 2025 things because I know going and attending a nationals is something I want to do.
Yeah.
And is it adding pressure to 2024? A little bit, but I'm willing to put the time in, spend the money, and try to get this thing right.
Right.
And then maybe 2025, if it's close, we run a program like Baker has in the last couple of years where he runs a limited schedule prior to nationals, so yeah.
Well, one more thing that we should probably discuss.
Okay.
Off season, you don't have a lot going on.
Nope.
So how do you engage with your sponsors and partners and that kind of thing during a time where you're not getting pictures on track and you don't have a story to tell?
Okay. So I'm methodical about this, and I don't release every picture that I purchase. So throughout the year, I purchase lots of pictures, PolitiPixels, any of the guys that are taking pictures.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't release them all. I release the ones I sort of like, especially during the season. Sometimes I release the ones that give the best shot of the side of the car. James at IPG he's already agreed for next year. So knowing that I have very little to add. I do have track photos in reserve. And then, we'll strategically add pictures, while we're working on the car.
Right.
I have koozies and things like that. The socks on the sweatbands on the
right.
the brake reservoir and things like that. So they realize it, but also me as a social media person, just being on there.
Right.
There's a lot of new technology that Instagram specifically has put into their stuff, and I'm just learning how to use it.
Yeah.
And that'll help. And in the grand scheme of things, recycling pictures, nobody will notice. Nobody remembers what I posted at Hyperfest.
Right.
So if I reuse a photo in a collage or, whatever, then nobody's really going to be like, you used that already. So it's actually not as hard as you think it is, but staying dedicated, putting things out. I stay in communication with them, with IPG Parts, just to make sure, because it is a partnership. They're having a little downtime. One of the things I help bring to them, especially during the off season, is when they promote a product or have a post, I comment on it.
Right.
Because it helps the algorithm for them, but I also usually have experience with that item.
Yeah.
And I can share my experience and help them in their posts get more visibility and then have more information in the post.
Right.
So.
Well, pretty much wraps up what I've got. You got anything else you want to add?
No, man, I think that's a wrap.
Well, I have 2 more questions that are unrelated.
All right.
If you could go drive on any track, any car, anywhere, what would be the track in the car?
I think I would want to run Le Mans.
All right.
And I think I would want to do it. That's so hard. There's so many cars. I mean, in our lifetime, there's been so many cars, right? Last year, if they'd have let me drive that NASCAR
the
thing,
Garage 56.
Garage 56 car, I would have done that. That thing looked rowdy.
I think anybody would have done that.
But yeah, I could pick a dozen cars, but probably some kind of prototypey thing, you know, some LMP car.
Yeah. So you want to go fast?
Yeah. Well, why wouldn't you want to go fast, right?
Top.
I mean, yeah, I'm not going to say I'm going to run a Honda Fit around, Le Mans. So
yeah, you know what? Some people might do it just because it's funny.
Yeah, but it'd be so slow. Yeah, maybe that LMP is too fast for me, but
All right, and just what's your car or motorsports related bucket list item number 1?
Number 1,
yeah, of things that you literally could do, because I don't think anybody's just going to get on a prototype and go.
Nobody's handing me the keys to that. Yeah, I mean, they don't have keys, but nobody's letting me in the cockpit, let alone like touch it. Probably.
Yeah.
This goes back to my youth and my motorcycle riding days, and I really want to go visit the Isle of Man and watch the Isle of Man TT.
Awesome.
That's there. It's a little risky. Somebody dies on average every other year.
Yeah.
So, but they do gnarly things.
Yes, they do.
And it just looks like a good time. It looks like a good atmosphere.
Yeah.
Vintage bike show. They throw big parties, but they sort of know when to turn it down.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows they want to wake up and they don't want to be hung over to the sound of 16 to 20,000 RPM motorcycles ripping down the street in front of their Airbnb. So
I know what it sounds like for a pit bike to be doing burnouts at midnight at VIR. So I can imagine what it would be like with a legit race bike.
Yeah, legit race bike and a hangover.
Yeah,
it could be rough. So, but it just looks like a great place to be, and I really want to go do it. My wife was going to take me, and then I needed an engine to go to comp school. So instead of taking me to Isle of Man, she bought me an engine.
Again, can't complain about that.
No, I don't complain about that. Not at all.
All right. Well, I think that does just about wrap things up.
All right, Jason. Thanks for interviewing me.
And thanks for having me.
Until next time, keep working on yourself, keep working on the car, and let's get faster.